recognition and things that you don't have built yet as a beginner. But in general, if you like really want to play speed chess as a beginner, I think maybe just practice it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know what you think, David.
Yeah, I think practice is the way these days. And in the past, it used to take years before you could play 500 games against very strong opposition and process all those 500 different patterns. Now you can do it within a few months, and that's why we see younger and younger players kind of make it far. And of course, it depends on time. And I liked what you said earlier. You want to analyze with a human as well, with a friend, with a coach, a mentor, just a buddy at the club. And I think just discussing those ideas helps the improvement process so much.
Yeah, and I think also the engine moves don't always make sense either.
Exactly.
Here we see yet another young, great Indian player, a strong GM, another lettered player, Pranesh M. It's interesting to see what he can do against Magnus here with the white pieces.
Exactly. It's like Gukesh D. And,
exactly.
Yeah, I know he has another name, but it's a long one, and I think he prefers to shorten it as well. Pranesh is a very aggressive player. Of course, we can say that about a lot of young grandmasters. They want to attack, they want to play on the front foot, but Pranesh is, I think, he's one at the very extreme. It's all about checkmate for him. So I think the fact that this is a slower position now is good for Magnus Carlsen.
Or is it intentional by Magnus Carlsen?
It's definitely intentional by Magnus. Pranesh did choose the opening, though, with white. He was the one who chose the reti, which actually we voted, or the audience voted for Magnus to play with white. So maybe Pranesh thought the vote applied to him as well. But yeah, it's definitely a case of Magnus choosing a very slow system. Already a knight and bishop off the board. It's all about which pawns to push, which kind of pieces to improve. Maybe just sliding rooks towards the center. White here has a small advantage because if we look at the biggest pawn chain, it's white with the longest pawn chain here. It's 6 connected pawns. Magnus only has 4 at the maximum, and having this extra central pawn rock solid actually gives a lot of stability for Pranesh. So he's done nothing wrong, Pranesh, but I think stylistically, this is going to favor Magnus, and there we go. Already, we saw a hint that black might be better because a push of the pawn does weaken the white king. And yeah, Pranesh, if you let him attack you, no chance. So I think this is a good start for the world number 1.
Just mentioning some other matchups right now. It was a little quick going into the games. We have Nakamura playing against Alexander Shimanov. We have MVL playing against Pablo Salinas. We have Lasovic playing against Etienne Bakro. Niemann is playing against Subramaniam. It's... yeah, it's obviously so many good games going on at this stage in the tournament when you can see all the top all the full scores on one page.
Yeah, the cream normally rises to the top around now. Like some players, they'll get hit by upsets, they'll lose early games, but they tend to bounce back. And in this game, we see a trade of bishops, so it's just queen and knights now. I think this is a good exchange for Pranesh. Just because black's bishop is normally the pride and joy, black's king feels a little less safe now that the bishop in front of it has been traded off. But then again, will Pranesh be able to eke out any advantage against black's isolated pawns? There's 2 isolated pawns here. This one and another one that can be hit. White has so many central pawns that the control here is just phenomenal. I think this has gone wrong for Magnus suddenly. And I'm not saying he's worse or losing Magnus Carlsen, but it's going to be hard to win this game.
And there we see Magnus saying the exact same thing with his body language.
Exactly. He doesn't feel the energy. There's just no energy when you only have the same pieces as your opponent. Queens and rooks, they kind of cancel each other out.
Does this look like a man who wants energy right now?
Yeah, Magnus wants he wants a nap. I don't know what he wants, but the problem is that white's rook will just sit at some point on the second rank, defend everything. No weaknesses for white, everything covered, and big weaknesses for black.
I think Magnus Carlsen went into a freeze as well, but it was hard to spot the difference there for a while.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice. I thought he was just like sitting very, very still.
Maybe he's trolling us and he's just pretending to freeze. You got to freeze the opponent's pieces, don't freeze your camera.
Pretty even on time as well here, but at least the position is back to equal.
Yeah.
You know the age of his opponent?
Ooh,
yeah, he's 19.
Yeah.
19.
Pranesh is 19.
So do you usually feel like the younger ones are more aggressive?
I think that tends to be a trend. Like when I was a teenager, I was a bit similar to Pranesh. I would just go for checkmate. I didn't know how to win a game other than just all-out attack on the opponent's king. Sometimes it worked, it didn't.
But do you think it's about age, or do you think it's about the chess maturity? Because I feel like a lot of adult beginners as well can be like myself.
Oh, yeah.
Can be like that.
Is that how you would define your style?
Yeah.
Attacking?
Yeah, I took a quiz actually. I think online you can do a quiz and then you can see kind of what type of chess player you are. And I got chess Barbarian.
Ooh.
There was a lot of different ones, yeah. But yes, I thought maybe it's something about maturity level. You don't know so much about the pawn structures maybe and the strategy aspect.
I never thought of it like that, but I think you're probably right. And I think it's actually a healthy thing, like learning the checkmate patterns first, knowing how to play with dynamic energy, going towards the opponents, scaring the opponents, setting them problems, giving them questions. But yeah, I think as people get older, they start to be more fearful. Like I lost so many games throughout my career that I was like, okay, let's play safer chess, risk-free chess.
Right.
And I don't know if that's maturity. I think it's just
experience.
Well, I think it's just
trauma,
pragmatism,
trauma, and pragmatism. Exactly. It's being a boring old man. But
Adam Tari, he won his game, so he moves up to 4 out of 5. Beat Keith Kumaru.
Okay. Great result for Ariane, who's still not out of it. Could still win the tournament if he's accurate. Magnus had an advantage. I'm really surprised Magnus hasn't been taking the opportunity to push his pawn. That's his one ace card for a bit later, but maybe he's a bit scared of Pranesh's attack. Look, Pranesh, he's not going to look at the other side of the board for too long. Sooner or later, he's going to go for the black king. He's going to threaten some sneaky checkmates.
Did you also see the comment from the chat?
Yeah, it looks like he's been changing diapers all night.
Yeah.
Well, right now he's in a freeze, but he wasn't showing much. He was looking sleepy prior to that as well.
Yeah, it must be tiring to be a new dad, right?
Well, from my experience, I was pretty lucky in mine that they were sleeping pretty well and working out well. But it all differs. Obviously, when you're used to being, if you're a chess player, you are more used to defining your own schedule than I think any other profession in the world, especially if you're a top GM. Mm-hmm. And to have your life turned around like becoming a parent actually do. I mean, I don't think it's random that the marriage decline in rating is about 100 points and add kids to it and it goes even further. So, I mean, just the idea that you can no longer simply be responsible for your own life, I think that is difficult for a chess player.
Yeah, it's the marriage tax. It's the baby tax you pay on your rating when you have kids. But yeah, I mean, it's also the fact that normally you have to peak at around 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon. That's when games start. Yeah. And suddenly you have to be up at 4 a.m. changing diapers. This position, in the meantime, is dead level objectively. Should be a draw, just because White's queen is so active. Probably is going to win this pawn. Once Magnus drops that pawn, not real chances to win. No more pass pawns. But White can't win.
An even queen endgame against Magnus doesn't sound fun, though.
Exactly. That's the problem. He's playing the greatest endgame, the greatest queen endgame player of all time, Pranesh. So Black shouldn't win. I don't think White can ever win, just because the king is so open. Lacking defenders, there's always going to be checks. So perpetual check is the most logical finish. But can Magnus apply pressure? That is the question before this pawn drops off.
I guess we have seen Magnus win some dead drawn positions before.
Yes, 1 or 2. He knows the mindset needed. The Grandmaster, the grind set that Magnus is so accustomed to. He's giving all the checks. Now the White King's pretty safe. And he's got to be careful, Magnus. He's trying to give up this pawn to get this pawn in order for the pawn in front of the Black King to become passed. But Pranesh is doing a good job of keeping this one on the board. And Magnus makes his move. He loves to centralize his queen, and now he's going walkabout with his own king. He's trying to win this pawn by force. But now Pranesh is better. Magnus is taking some big risks here. It's a pawn down.
This is a really fun endgame.
Don't try this at home, ladies and gentlemen, walking around with your king into the open, no man's land. Pranesh's king is super safe now, and Magnus can never take this one because the pawn next to his queen drops. Oh, this is a 50-50. I think this is decided on the clock. Magnus shaking his head.
He didn't like that move by himself, but Pranesh not finding the right one.
Yeah, the White Queen could have actually moved back more centrally. It didn't. This is still Magnus, though, fighting for a draw. And, oh, Pranesh needs to realize that he can actually take this pawn and that he can do it again now and give a check. Pranesh has found the winning idea. The Black King is so bad now. He could have been taking this one, though. He's going to try and take it next move.
That's too late.
Magnus is suffering. It's queen and pawn versus queen. Magnus cannot win by normal means. He has to win on time. Pranesh is the one with the pawn. Magnus is giving all the checks, but the white king is walking forward. If this was 1 hour versus 1 hour, I think Pranesh would win.
Do you think he's going to win now?
It's hard, though. When you're the one being checked, it takes you a little bit more time. Magnus needs to keep checking. Oh, but the block. Magnus has blundered a queen trade. Magnus has allowed the queens off the board. That's a cross-check, and he resigns. Pranesh about to make a second queen.
You said don't try this at home. Magnus tried it, but he's not at home.
Yeah, that was his downfall. He tried to be a bit too ambitious there. Took big risks in his winning attempts, and it backfired. Pranesh, though, great result.
Only one game left right now. That is Dauden against Mohammed Hussein. That's finishing up, so we're going to go on. It's not going to be an 11 out of 11 for Magnus now, but he's still in the running here.
Yeah, the winning score